When it comes to the difference between religions versus spirituality, one of those big differences is that all the religions each have their own set of rules. As where spirituality and living with a spiritual practice, or living from a spiritual practice, that works with the universal laws that all of the religions have in common. The first universal law that we all master when it comes to having our spiritual awakenings is the law of accident. And this is that feeling of, why me? Why are these things always happening to me? If you've ever felt that way, then you've been subject to the law of accident. That feeling of, why do I always attract this? Why do I always attract that? That is actually the law of accident, and there are both practical and spiritual ways to stop being subject to the law of accident. The practical tools really help raise your vibration spiritually, so not only do you stop attracting them because of the practical things that you're doing, but you stop attracting them with your vibration as well. Things like mindfulness and living life with intention and purpose. Those are the steps to living outside of the law of accident. A great example for me is that I used to get pulled over by police officers left and right. Oh my goodness. I could get pulled over for having my license plate light be out in a mile stretch on my way home. Like, I could literally only be having to drive a mile. And I got pulled over twice for having my license plate light be out. How often do you have to even change a license plate light? Infrequently enough that most people don't even know it exists. As where now, I haven't been pulled over by a police officer in the last 10 years more than once. And I used to get pulled over for anything and everything they could possibly pull me over for. It didn't matter what city I was in. I was a get pulled over by the police magnet before. Now I could actually be doing something wrong and I won't get pulled over. And this is just a great example of how, for some reason, when I was subject to the law of accident, that was what I attracted, getting pulled over. And now that I live outside the law of accident, I don't get pulled over anymore, even for things that I should, maybe, if there was such thing as should. So, how do we get ourselves beyond the law of accident? Well, again, mindfulness. Actually taking the time to clean up your energy and clean up your actions. That is why I talk about mindfulness, mindset, living your life with intention, and the ways in which you can do that on a regular basis, because those are the first steps to spiritually awakening. That's the way of getting yourself out of being stuck with any one particular religious practice and those rules, and starting to get into the universal laws of spirituality, is by just starting to be mindful of what you do, how you be, as some would say. When we can start doing this, when we can start just taking the time to be aware of our thoughts and actions, it cleans up our vibration so we stop attracting the same things. That's why I talk about in videos about attracting the wrong relationships, raising our vibration, because it's raising our vibration, on a spiritual level anyway, that helps us live beyond the law of accident. As where the practical tools help us in a 3D world, in a human body, do all the human things. So take the time to slow down and just start being consciously aware of how you are. What am I doing right now? Just watch yourself. Study yourself. Pay attention to what you do. And then start asking yourself, why are you doing it? And is it the best thing to be doing? Living life mindfully with then intention, it's the key to building a spiritual practice in your life and starting to live beyond the law of accident. So, anytime you find yourself doing something at all, ask yourself, what am I doing? Why am I doing it? Could I be doing it differently? And as you start to do this, you start to recognize, when is it a useful time to do this? When is it not? For instance, if you're in the kitchen making food, asking yourself why you're making food. You have to eat, you're a human. But asking yourself, why do I cut carrots this way? You know, and these are just examples. You don't have to get super neurotic with it. But learning to do it with the mundane things helps us start to do it with the important things. And then as we start to do it more and more and more, we start to figure out what we do and what we don't need to do it with. And that allows us to, through our own, what's the word I'm looking for? Through our own process of trial and error, through our own process of elimination, live mindfully and start to figure out what needs questioning and what doesn't. And that honestly is a helpful skill in and of itself, which is why I try not to tell people this is where you should do it and where you shouldn't. Because figuring that out, figuring out that a great place to ask yourself why you're doing something is when you're fighting with people you love, and a great time to not ask yourself about that would be, again, because you're cooking. Learning that process of figuring out when you should be asking yourself these questions, which in the beginning you should be asking yourself these questions about everything, truly. There's never a bad time to ask yourself why you do something. Truly. It starts to teach you how to do things like pick better healthy foods, pick better healthy actions. It might also teach you a cool skill. One of my favorite things in the world is to be able to do things on my own, even though I am more than always willing to ask for help. But I love to know how to do things. And so because I love to know how to do things, I often will, when I ask myself that question, what am I doing? Why am I doing it? I'll then ask myself, can I do it better? If I should be doing it, could I be doing it better? And then maybe I'll experiment, or maybe I'll take a class. But you'll never know what you need to do these things for until you start asking yourself what you're doing and why you're doing it. So yeah, that's my story and I'm sticking to it. Thank you guys for joining me for another video. I hope that you can find yourself not subject to the law of accident very, very soon. It is very relieving to the ego. And the ego is one of those things that in the beginning, especially when it comes to your spiritual awakening, something that could use a little relaxation and joy. So, yeah. Make sure you check out all of the links in the description. It is September, which means that my monthly mailing list is going to be coming out soon. I only put out one email a month. That's it. At one point I was ambitious and thought to myself, maybe I'll do one a week. It doesn't happen. No, I do one a month. And often I get it out in the middle or the end of the month. But that being said, I am trying to do them more and more at the beginning of the month, which means that September's is going to be coming out shortly, and that's how you get in on my free monthly workshops. So if you'd like to join my free monthly workshops and just find out all the things that I don't talk about here, my mailing list is where you'll get all that stuff. So you can sign up for that. There's Patreon if you want to get deeper into your spiritual practice. I have all sorts of videos similar to what I do here on YouTube, but where I get even deeper into personal development, spirituality. I have my Spirituality 101 series. I'm just starting my Spirituality 2.0 series. I have my meditation series. I have my course, the Intuitive Lifestyle course, as well as all sorts of other fun journal exercises, guided meditations, and all 4 of my Patreon tiers are very, very reasonably priced. I went through the process of looking at some of my teachers' pricing and had considered upping my prices recently, but I've decided not to do that. I'm going to leave them where they are because I want people, all people, anybody who wants it to have access to this information. It's time for anyone and everyone who's ready and willing to have it. And if there's anything I understand, it's what it's like to have to seek it out deep in the mystery schools, being a Rosicrucian, being a Tarot practitioner. I have trekked far and wide to get information on a spiritual level and not just a religious level. And I want it to be accessible to everyone because for so long it has been kept secret, and it doesn't need to be. I don't think anyway. So, yeah, that's what Patreon's all about, helping you, as I say, make a life kinder and simpler with a spiritual practice. And then if you're really ready to grow, heal, and expand, heal, grow, and expand is usually how I order that. I'm a little tired this morning. I have my one-on-one work that I do, and that's most of what I do, actually. So if you're ready, really ready, because I don't work with anybody who's not really ready. And I don't say that as a point of pride. I say that because I've learned that for those who aren't really ready, I'm not the teacher for you. So for those who are really ready to grow, heal, and expand, I'm your girl. And I want to help you do that. And I would love, through my one-on-one counseling, to help you build a spiritual practice that helps better your life. So that link will be down there as well. May the energy you serve you well, and let's keep making our way through.